height and width of an element can be set using the height and width CSS properties. If box sizing is set to border box, height and width set the height and width of the border area. If box sizing is set to content box, height and width set the height and width of the content area. The height and width properties can be declared like this. We can also use the max width or min width properties, where max width can be used to set the maximum width an element can be, in the case of an element that may be assigned using relative sizing units like percentage. Here you can see we have an example where this element has a width of 30%, a relative sizing unit, and a max width of 300 pixels, an absolute sizing unit. We can see on smaller screens, this element will be 30% of the container it's contained within. However, as we get to bigger screens, the width will exceed 300 pixels, and max width makes this element grow no larger than 300 pixels. Here we have min width, which can be used to set the minimum width an element can be, in the case of an element that may be assigned using relative sizing units, once again like percentage. Here we have an element with a width of 50% and a min width of 120 pixels, meaning on bigger screens, this element will show as 50%, but as we shrink to smaller screens, where 50% would be less than 120 pixels, we can see that this element never shrinks below 120 pixels. Similarly, we have max height and min height, where max height can be used to set the maximum height of an element, and min height can be used to set the minimum height of an element. And here we have a couple examples of max height and min height. Now the values that we assign to these properties can be numeric, as we just seen, or they can have predefined values to them as well, such as auto, which is the initial value to these properties. We also have fit content, amongst other values that we can assign to these properties. I'll leave a link in the description with a list of some of the other predefined values we can assign to these dimension properties.